Raging wildfires in California.
The most destructive and deadliest fire in state history.
Well, it is now a Category 4 storm. The Panhandle of Florida has never, ever experienced a storm like this.
A new report by the UN carries a stark warning.
Experts say that we have until 2030 to avoid catastrophe.
Brand new report on climate change released by the Trump administration.
It paints a dire picture, warning that the Earth's climate is changing rapidly.
I've seen it, I've read some of it, and it's fine. I don't believe it.
It takes a village to raise a healthy environment. And I think in this regard, we're actually seeing some encouraging signs today. Ozone-depleting substances are now declining in our atmosphere, and we're starting to see the first signs of healing in the ozone layer.
We are now producing corals faster than we can get permission to put them back out.
It's going to take actions at all levels, from the individual to the international.
The European Parliament has voted for a complete ban on a range of single-use plastics. It's in a bid to stop pollution of the oceans.
Seattle has become the biggest U.S. city to ban plastic straws and utensils
and replacing them with compostable or paper options.
Students in more than 100 countries took to the streets Friday demanding action on climate change.
Young people out here on the streets say they have to act now because by the time they're older, it'll be too late.
I've learned that you are never too small to make a difference.
Our Planet Forward contributors represent a new generation of environmental storytellers. Their stories elevate people, ideas, and the innovations that can sustain our planet.
Hydroponic agriculture, as simple as I can put it, is growing plants in water instead of soil.
The U.S. specifically wastes 63 million tons of food a year. That's around 765 Washington monuments.
Bike lanes on Euclid has created a cultural awareness about bottom-up change.
We need storytellers now more than ever, so we can move the planet forward.
Now please welcome your host, Director of GW's School of Media and Public Affairs and Planet Forward founder, Frank Sesno.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Good. Yeah? You sure? Yeah. How's this side doing? How's this side doing? I don't know. What do you think, Mr. President? Which side did better? This side? This side? All right, so that's a start, right? We want you to make noise over the next couple of days. We want to welcome you. I'm Frank. I started this project about 10 years ago. I'm director of the School of Media and Public Affairs here at the George Washington University, and we are really, really thrilled and proud that you are all here. Over the next couple of days, let me just say it straight out, this is all about the planet, and it's about the ideas, the inventions, the research, the imagination to sustain it. And it's about how we tell those stories to connect the dots, to inform others, and to inspire best practices and best action. How do we effectively communicate those stories? How do we connect fact and data and ideas and people and personalities and trends and events so that we can explain it, not just in our bubbles, but outside of our bubbles, across our bubbles, so that we can make a difference and so we can inspire action? We talk here, our focus is impact. Over the next couple of days, our focus is on how you can have impact in your storytelling. We have close to 40 schools represented here today, okay? George Washington University first among them. Any GW students? All right. Who else? How about some shout outs from other schools? Where are you from? What's ESF stand for? Environmental Science Authority. Oh, ESF, round for ESF? All right. Who else? What other schools? Middlebury. All right. Plattsburgh. What? Plattsburgh. Where else? Where? Again? MU. All right. Where else? Eckerd College. Where else? UVA. What else? Okay. All right. So here's my instruction for those of you who were at the reception last night. This is my instruction to all of you students, faculty, college presidents, and others. You are required to walk up to somebody you don't know and say, hi, my name is, what's your name, and what do you do? All right? Over the course of these next few days, you're going to hear a lot of cool stuff from here, but you're going to meet people, and that's part of this idea, who will inspire you, who will tell you what's going on and engage you in a bunch of other things. All right, Next recognition, Planet Forward correspondents, please stand. If you're a Planet Forward correspondent, stand up. All right? A big round of applause for our Planet Forward correspondents. So our correspondents over the course of this last year, you can sit down now, that's good. They have filed stories. You saw some of them here. You will see a whole bunch more of them over the next several days. Several of them are finalists for our StoryFest prize. And where are they going to go? Who wins when you win the prize? Where do you go? The Galapagos. So everybody knows that. That's going to be an amazing trip, and you'll be hearing more about that. Lots here over the next couple of days for you. We'll be engaging with an astonishing range, really an amazing range of people, CEOs, media leaders, storytellers, scientists, students, and people who want to change the world in a lot of different ways. We'll have breakouts this afternoon. You'll learn more about that. Go to one of the breakouts and dig in. You'll enjoy learning from people who do that for a living. You'll hear from storytellers, as I said. You'll participate in these dialogues on climate change, on media and science storytelling, on women and girls, nutrition and conservation. So there's a lot there. You'll have a chance to learn from professional podcasters, videographers, photographers on how they convey story and how they define and pursue and then measure their impact. And we'll talk a lot about impact in storytelling. And we'll announce these StoryFest winners with Lindblad Expeditions. Where are our friends from Lindblad? Where are you guys? All right, Lindblad's right here. And I'm very happy to tell you that tomorrow afternoon, joining us to present, or late morning, just before noon, before our lunch, Sven Lindblad himself will join us and present these awards. Sven is totally into the storytelling of what happens on his trips because he believes that that is what inspires and informs others. That's how you connect to the planet and you connect others to the planet. I would like to introduce my fellow traveler for the next couple of days and around the world, actually, and that's Dr. Imani Cheers. Come on up. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So Dr. Imani Cheers is a colleague at the School of Media and Public Affairs. What do you teach?
Digital storytelling.
What does that mean?
We take a lot of pictures and videos and edit it all together.
And it's not just for a TV set anymore.
Oh, absolutely not. We utilize a variety of different mediums, mobile, documentary filmmaking, any way that we can share these impactful stories.
And Dr. Cheers takes Planet Forward students from all our different schools and all across the country, as well as GW, on amazing trips around the world. So you've been where? Where are some of the places you've been?
We've done 4 countries in sub-Saharan Africa: Malawi, Botswana, Zambia, South Africa. Took a lovely group of students to Belize for an amazing short-term study abroad course, and Galapagos.
And so we went to Alaska last year with Lindblad and our StoryFest winners.
And a couple people are still here. I see the cohort. Hi, ladies.
So you'll be engaging with Dr. Cheers throughout the day. And so let's think about Alaska for a minute, because we were in Alaska together.
Alaska was pretty spectacular, yes. Southeast Alaska, if anyone been to Southeast Alaska? Anyone? A couple people? I had never been to the region, and it was absolutely breathtaking, life-affirming.
So we have a short video from our little Alaska trip.
Featuring a couple people in the audience.
Featuring a couple people in the audience to give you about a minute and a half of a little bit of what it was like. So we'll be back later.
Yes.
Why don't we roll the video?
Absolutely.
Planet Forward's StoryFest. It's a national storytelling competition trying to encourage undergraduate and graduate students to be scientific storytellers. And so you could use any type of format, podcast, video, article, what have you. So this is creating an opportunity for students across the nation to develop their skills. One of the really, really cool things about travel is you realize that we have a lot more in common than we have differences. Everyone does want a lot of the same things out of life, and understanding that different cultures get those things in different ways is key to not only understanding but to creating solutions. Storytelling is key to empathy. A lot of times we don't really care about issues that we personally don't face, so I want to take the knowledge and experience I get from storytelling with Planet Forward and use it to get people to care about issues they won't otherwise care about. We're all writing these stories in earnest because they're things that we care about. We don't pick a subject because we want to win a contest. We pick a subject because it is vital, and we think that it is going to help our planet.
And our thanks again to Lindblad and Vanessa Moss, who was with us. Vanessa, wave to everybody. Vanessa, who you saw in that video, is with us again this year. So Vanessa, welcome back from Sewanee, University of the South. Before I introduce President Tom LeBlanc to welcome you all to our summit conference here, I do want to shout out one other group for particular thanks, and that is our Planet Forward Advisory Council. These are amazing people from the sciences, from media, from publication, from politics. Could I ask our Advisory Council members who are in the room to please stand and just say hi to everybody? Tom, you can stand. So to our students one more time, and to all those who are here, make note of those faces, of those folks, and walk up and introduce yourself to them. Tell them what you're interested in. Ask them what they do for a living, and engage in this conversation. I started Planet Forward 10 years ago now, and I'm happy to tell you that in that time, we now have more than 5,000 stories posted to planetforward.org. A lot of them are yours. This is our 6th summit conference that we've hosted. We believe, based on our count from television and our online analytics, that we have been seen by close to 5 million people over this period of time, which ain't bad, right? Ain't bad. Maybe you can influence a couple. Our campus consortium has grown to 25 schools, and we have 20 Planet Forward correspondents here at GW and across the country. So this is a movement, and it's gaining an influence. And I'm really, really proud of that. And I have a little bumper sticker, and we'll come back to that bumper sticker, about what story is. Story is, and this is what you do and what we do, compelling characters overcoming obstacles to achieve a worthy outcome. Some of you have heard me say that before. The Earth is a compelling character. People, researchers, entrepreneurs, scientists are compelling characters. They all try to overcome obstacles to achieve that outcome. And that's how we capture this essence of story. this university is very committed to the sustainability story. We have something like 250 sustainability minors now. And the leadership of this institution is committed to the research and the ideas that will solve the problems of this planet. And they are daunting problems, as you all know and as we will see. It's now my privilege to introduce the 17th president of the George Washington University, Thomas LeBlanc. Now, I'm not going to say much besides saying that his degrees come from University of Wisconsin-Madison, one of our schools. Who's applauding? Are you University of Wisconsin-Madison? All right. And State University of New York, Plattsburgh. Okay. So that's a pretty good introduction. But I do want to say that President LeBlanc shares a passionate commitment to discovery and to the ideas, truly, that will move the planet forward. Would you please join me in welcoming the President of George Washington University?
Thank you, Frank, and not just for the nice introduction, but for the work that you're doing with Planet Forward and helping to change the world. I'm starting today by violating a fundamental tenet of administration, which is never follow Frank Sesno in the program. So I'm what's called the buffer between Frank and the rest of the program. I got some prepared remarks here I can mention in a minute, but just listening to Frank, I want to share with you a personal story. Who's here from ESF? Yeah. So my brother got his PhD from ESF in forest ecology, and I remember all the hours he would debate with my father about issues around protecting national parks, basically the kinds of things we care about here with Planet Forward, but now these conversations took place 35 years ago. And my dad was kind of a conservative type, and I'm being generous, and my brother he was you, but this was 35 years ago. Some of the issues weren't quite as obvious to people. And they'd sit there and they'd go at it for hours on these issues. And I used to just listen. I knew I wasn't changing either mind. I just thought it was fun to listen. And my brother would argue on the importance of the national parks and preserving them and ecology and all of the issues that he cared about. And my father said, I'm never going to get to go to that park. You go there all the time. This is just a selfish interest on your part. Now, I don't know if my dad was using that as a debate technique, but I would watch him go back and forth, and it was really the kinds of issues that you're telling stories about. How do you engage the world on some of these issues when in their day-to-day lives they don't necessarily see it? And the reality was, ironically, my dad was a master scuba diver who dove the world. And if he were diving the ocean today and saw what was in it, I'm not sure he wouldn't be in this audience cheering you on and saying, we've got to do something about this. But at the time, I just don't think either he didn't get it or he was a great debater and he was dealt a bad deck of cards and he had to play the hand he had. I'm not sure which it was. But I was fascinating just watching them debate the relative importance of issues that are out of sight. And for my dad, it was out of sight. My brother loved to go to places you can't get to. His idea of vacation is he and his wife charter one of those special planes. They drop them on the north coast of Alaska, and they pick them up 2 weeks later. Everything you need for 2 weeks, you carry in and you carry out. That's my brother's idea of an ideal vacation. Not mine, but his. My dad loved to dive, but he had knee issues and some other issues. He could never have imagined being dropped on the north coast of Alaska and going in alone for 2 weeks. And so that perspective was what was in my mind as I was listening to Frank talk about Planet Forward. We've got a lot of heavy lifting to do. When I travel, and I've traveled to many places representing the university. By the way, I've been to Galapagos. It was an amazing transformative experience being in the Galapagos. And ever since I've been there, I'm wondering how much has it degraded since I was there? How badly? I mean, you can count the T-shirt shops. That's one way of knowing that things are going south. But there's a lot of other issues around the Galapagos, and I think it's really critical that we work together to preserve that pristine environment. But I went with Lindblad, thank you Lindblad, to Antarctica, and I watched a huge chunk of a glacier just fall into the ocean and start to melt. And about that time, there were stories of this Connecticut-sized piece of glacier that had cleaved off. It was now a big ice cube in the ocean that would slowly start to melt. And I was riding amongst these huge glaciers and thinking, one of these the size of Connecticut is melting over here. That personal experience really affects how I see these issues. I wish my dad had had the opportunity to do that before he passed away, because I think he would have been an ardent environmentalist had he had the chance to do it. The work you're doing is really about the future of our planet. That's why I love the title Planet Forward. And it's so exciting to think about the whole next generation being so much better informed than the prior generation. I'm particularly excited to have so many students involved in this project. You are the future, and I think, personally, I find it a pretty compelling argument when people say to me, your generation screwed it up, the least you can do is get out of our way while we clean it up. And I appreciate that argument. I'm not sure my dad would have, but I appreciate that argument. Here at George Washington, we've long been committed to sustainability, whether it's through our teaching and research, making sustainable investments, tapping into solar power, planning campus initiatives to reduce energy waste and water use, and of course, convening this summit, which brings together all of you. Similar to the broad range of disciplines that are represented in the audience today, we're harnessing our combined strengths in STEM, political science, international affairs, policy, and journalism, among others, to help create a more sustainable world. I know that all of you share this commitment, particularly through your efforts in innovating, storytelling, and communicating, and showing the importance of this work by amplifying sustainability successes across the world and advocating for others to take action. This is absolutely critical to solving the most difficult environmental problems of our time, whether in food and water, energy, our built environment, or biodiversity, all topics that you will be addressing in this summit. I hope you'll find these 2 days informative and energizing, that you'll have ample opportunity to collaborate with one another and some of the GW students, faculty, and staff here on our campus. And I hope you'll take your experiences back with you, whether it's to GW or UW-Madison, where I did my graduate work and absolutely loved the campus and the vibe on that campus, whether it's Plattsburgh, where I grew up, went to school. Not that many people know about it, but they've got a great hockey team, and they've got a great Planet Forward program. And I hope you'll also take it back to whatever university you come from, or if you're involved in a think tank, business, or research projects. And as you do, please keep making discoveries, finding solutions, telling the stories that inspire. Keep my dad in mind, because if you can turn him, you can turn the world. Working together, you're moving the planet forward. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It means so much to us to have the university supporting all of you in the way that it does. All right, let me quickly go through some housekeeping items so that you can know what's what over the course of the next day and 2 days for you, and then we're going to get to our first speaker. We'll take a mid-morning break around 10:30. That's when you'll be able to mix, mingle, and have a cup of coffee. For those of you who are having lunch with us, you need to confirm your lunch ticket. You should have checked in at registration, and you should have a little dot or something on the back of that. If you have any questions, check in with the folks at registration during break. Please take in our displays and engagements on the first and second floor. We call them our Planet Forward Opportunities tables. You'll see them there. Take a picture out in front of our wall and share it via social. Like I said, let's make some noise, right? While you're here, if you'd want to do a little pop-up interview with somebody on your phone and post that, that'd be an awesome Instagram, whatever you want to do. Remember, this is all about trying to get that story out there. Use our hashtag, tell our story via social media, share your photos and all the rest, as I mentioned. You'll see our hashtags, so dig in. If you need any reminders as to how all this works, you can check your programs and your name tags. The Wi-Fi instructions are there as well. If you have any questions about any of this along the way, ask the Planet Forward team. They've got Planet Forward t-shirts, and they're all around, and we'll do that. I do want to thank and make special mention of our sponsors, because our sponsors help this happen, especially Lindblad, Bayer, Land O'Lakes, Discovery, and the George Washington University, who provided fundamental support and funding to make this happen. So would you join me in a round of applause for all of our partners and sponsors? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I want to put up a picture. Who knows what this is?